ever wonder about the really big picture? Like, the universe, good versus evil, that whole epic scope?
Yeah, yeah.
We're diving deep into Ellen White's writings today.
Okay.
And let me tell you, her take on God's cosmic government, it's wild.
It's surprisingly relatable, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you might expect, like fire and brimstone.
Right.
But White starts with something, well, disarmingly simple.
Yeah.
God is love.
Okay.
Not just loving, but like love as his core essence.
Okay, so that's, a kind of a classic Sunday school concept.
Right.
But then she connects this love to law.
Yeah.
That's where things get really interesting to me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like a list of rules. It's more like an expression of this perfect self-giving love that like permeates everything. Think of that quote from Romans, love is the fulfilling of the law.
Oh, yeah.
It just clicks with what White is saying.
Okay, so instead of don't do this, don't do that, it's more like God's law is the natural flow of love throughout the entire universe. Like, even planets and stars are playing by these rules.
Precisely. Every atom, every galaxy, it's all a manifestation of God's love, according to White. She even says that everything is sustained by receiving God's life force. Kind of like how planets need the sun's energy. Imagine this intricate web of existence, all held together by this, well, invisible force of love.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Yeah.
But that makes the idea of, like, breaking God's law even more intense.
Right.
It's not just, like, ticking him off, right?
Yeah.
It's messing with, like, the fundamental fabric of existence.
Exactly, yeah. Imagine a perfectly orchestrated symphony.
Okay.
Every note in harmony.
Yeah.
And then someone hits a clanging wrong note. That's what sin does. It disrupts that flow, that harmony of God's love and life.
Wow. That actually makes a lot of sense. So where do angels fit into all of this?
Angels are a huge part of this cosmic picture.
Okay.
White describes them as, like, radiant beings. God's ministers constantly moving to fulfill his will. They radiate his light and carry out his work. And here's the thing, there's an order to it all.
Okay.
A hierarchy, with God at the top, naturally, but beside him is his son, Jesus Christ.
Wait, so angels have bosses. Like, is there an org chart in heaven?
It's not exactly a corporate structure. Think of it more like a reflection of their roles, their closeness to God.
Okay.
And importantly, White emphasizes that angels aren't just following rules because they have to, they want to.
Okay.
Because their love for God makes it a joy. Obedience out of love, not obligation.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful distinction.
That makes a lot of sense. So in this heavenly hierarchy, where does Lucifer fit in?
Lucifer, the light bearer, second only to Christ in power and glory. White describes him with a high and broad forehead, implying incredible intellect. This wasn't some low-level angel who rebelled. This was a being of immense capability, which of course makes his downfall even more fascinating and tragic.
Okay, yeah, now I need to know more. What could lead someone in that position to rebel? Like, what was the turning point?
White suggests it started subtly, with a shift in perspective. Lucifer began to believe his brilliance, his wisdom, came from himself, not from God.
So even in a perfect place like heaven, ego could still creep in.
It seems so, yeah, and that's a sobering thought for all of us.
Yeah.
And this wasn't some, like, sudden blow-up. It was a slow burn.
Okay.
His discontent grew, especially, White says, when God involved Christ in creating humanity.
Wait, Lucifer felt left out, like God was bringing in a ringer for the big project.
Yeah, like, it's like that moment, when you think you're the go-to expert.
Right.
And suddenly, like, someone else is brought in to lead the project.
Oh, yeah.
According to White, Lucifer wanted to be consulted, to have that level of influence in the creation of humanity.
Okay.
She even recounts his thought process, like, why should Christ have the supremacy? Why is he honored above Lucifer?
Ouch. That's some serious envy talking right there.
Yeah.
But couldn't he have, I don't know, worked through it,
Right.
talked to someone?
Yeah.
I don't know, gone to angel therapy or something?
That's where things get really interesting, and this is a crucial point. White emphasizes that Lucifer didn't just, feel slighted. He became convinced he was wronged. It wasn't a, fleeting emotion. It was a deliberate shift in his thinking.
Okay.
He decided he deserved more power, more recognition.
So it wasn't just about creation, it was about Lucifer's ego.
Okay.
But how do you go from feeling resentful to leading a full-blown rebellion?
Right.
Like, how do you get others on board with that?
By being incredibly manipulative.
Oh.
White describes Lucifer twisting God's words, whispering doubts to his fellow angels. He framed God as unfair, even tyrannical,
Mm.
and then positioned himself as, like the
Yeah.
liberator.
Right.
Classic power play.
Oh, yeah.
Make yourself seem like the solution to a problem you created.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how that would work, unfortunately. But what was the sales pitch? What were the angels being promised if they joined his side?
Freedom. That was the big one. Lucifer argued against what he called the, air quotes, unnecessary restrictions
Right.
of God's law.
Okay.
He told them angels were wise enough to, govern themselves.
Right.
And that this, newfound freedom would be better for everyone.
Rules are made to be broken. It's
Yeah.
a tale as old as time. Right.
Right. And the thing is, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked on a lot of angels. White emphasizes that many trusted Lucifer implicitly.
Wow.
He was charismatic, a natural leader.
Right.
Imagine the kind of persuasive skills it would take to convince angels to turn away from God.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got injured pride, manipulative tactics, and a whole lot of angels being pulled into the mix.
Yeah.
Talk about a recipe for disaster. So what happened next? Was
Right.
there an actual showdown?
There was a reckoning, as there always is.
Mm.
White describes a scene in the heavenly court with God and his infinite wisdom laying everything bare. He acknowledged Christ's rightful authority, but still offered Lucifer a chance to, admit his mistake, to step back from the brink.
So even at that point, God was offering forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's actually really powerful.
Right. It makes you think about God's capacity for grace.
Yeah.
But sadly, Lucifer wasn't ready to accept it.
Oh.
White suggests that for a moment he realized he'd gone too far, but he was in the wrong.
Right.
But his pride, that inability to admit fault, that became his downfall. He chose rebellion over humility.
And that's when the war in heaven broke out.
Yeah.
What did that even look like? Was it all lightning bolts and flaming swords?
White uses some vivid imagery describing how angels were marshaled in companies and Satan grew bold in his rebellion.
Okay.
Clearly wasn't a war of words. It was a full-blown cosmic battle
Right.
with lasting consequences.
Wow, this is heavy stuff. But here's a question I've always had. If God is all-powerful, why not just, destroy Lucifer right then and there?
Well-
Why let it even get to that point?
It's a question a lot of people ask.
Yeah.
And the answer, according to White, is incredibly profound. God allowed the rebellion to play out, not to punish Lucifer, but to teach the entire universe a vital lesson.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What was the lesson so important that it required a cosmic demonstration?
It was about the true nature of sin
Yeah.
and its devastating consequences. You see, God wanted everyone, not just the angels, to see firsthand the destructiveness of choosing self-exaltation over his way. This wasn't just about, punishment. It was a cosmic cautionary tale.
So, perpetual testimony, as White calls it. But how does humanity fit into all of this? I mean, we weren't around for the angel rebellion, were we?
And that's the thing about this great controversy, this battle between good and evil. It didn't end with Lucifer's fall. Humans become central to this ongoing saga.
Hold on, you're saying we, walked onto the stage right in the middle of this cosmic drama?
You could say that. God's plan for humanity adds a whole new layer of complexity to this conflict.
Okay, so we've got this backdrop of cosmic conflict.
Right.
This, face-off between God and Lucifer, who's now, I guess, going by Satan.
Right.
And then God creates humans.
Yeah.
What was he thinking?
Well, it's a fascinating twist in the narrative.
Yeah.
White suggests that God could have created humans as, completely subservient beings, incapable of disobeying,
Right.
but he didn't.
Yeah.
He gave us free will.
I'll admit that's always kind of baffled me.
Yeah.
Especially with, the whole angel rebellion fresh in everyone's mind,
Right.
Why take the risk?
Because forced love isn't really love at all, is it?
Right.
White emphasizes that God wanted our love,
Okay.
our loyalty, to be a genuine choice, not blind obedience.
Right.
And that's what makes humans unique in his eyes.
But it also makes us incredibly vulnerable, right?
Oh, yeah.
If angels with, their heavenly wisdom and everything
Right.
could fall for Satan's tricks,
Yeah.
what about us?
Yeah.
We're practically, hardwired for bad decisions.
Exactly. And that's where the great controversy, this cosmic struggle, comes into play.
Okay.
Humanity becomes the ultimate testing ground. White suggests that God allowed Satan to tempt Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden,
Okay.
not to set them up for failure,
Right.
but to expose the true nature of sin,
Okay.
its power to destroy, not just in the angelic realm,
Right.
but here on earth.
So like a cosmic object lesson, like seeing it play out makes it real.
Precisely.
Okay.
By witnessing the consequences of Adam and Eve's choice, the suffering, the death, the brokenness that entered the world,
Yeah.
all beings, even those on distant worlds, would understand the devastating consequences of choosing rebellion over God's way.
And that gives like a whole new weight to the idea of free will, doesn't it? It
Wow.
wasn't just a theoretical concept up in heaven anymore.
Right.
It had like real tangible consequences for the entire universe.
Absolutely. And that's where God's incredible love comes in again.
Oh.
Because even though humanity chose wrong, he had a plan of redemption.
Okay.
He wasn't going to abandon us, even after we messed up big time.
Which is where Jesus coming to earth as a human comes in
Exactly.
to like set things right.
Exactly.
Wow.
White describes Christ's sacrifice on the cross as the ultimate act of love, the fulfillment of God's plan to redeem humanity and ultimately defeat Satan once and for all.
Wow.